Our world is filled with places that look breathtaking, but hide dangers few people truly understand. From mysterious landscapes to extreme environments where nature shows its raw power, these locations challenge the limits of human survival. Some attract fearless travelers searching for adventure, while others are places where life itself is a daily risk. Today, we will discover 20 places on Earth where beauty and danger exist side by side. Before we begin, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more journeys to the most fascinating corners of our planet. Now, let's start the adventure. Hidden in one of the most remote and extreme environments on Earth lies a place that climbers around the world both respect and fear. Located on the southern slopes of Mount Everest in the Himalayas, the Khumbu Icefall forms a chaotic cascade of towering ice blocks, deep crevasses, and constantly shifting glaciers that stand at an altitude of more than 5,400 meters above sea level. At first glance, the landscape appears almost surreal, a frozen maze of brilliant blue ice and massive white walls sculpted by the forces of nature. But beneath this breathtaking scenery lies one of the most dangerous sections of the entire Everest climbing route. The main danger here comes from the unstable nature of the glacier itself, which slowly moves downhill under immense pressure, causing enormous towers of ice known as seracs to crack, collapse, or shift without warning. Deep crevasses open and close as the ice moves, forcing climbers to cross them using fragile ladders placed across gaps that can descend hundreds of meters into darkness. Because the glacier can move nearly a meter each day, the entire structure constantly changes, making it impossible to predict when a collapse might occur. Even experienced mountaineers must pass through this section quickly, usually before sunrise, when colder temperatures help stabilize the ice. Despite the risks, every climber attempting to reach the summit of Everest must pass through the Khumbu Icefall, making it a powerful reminder that even in humanity's greatest adventures, nature always holds the final word. At first glance, the Hawaiian Islands seem like the definition of paradise, a tropical landscape of lush forests, warm beaches, and endless blue ocean. Yet beneath this beauty lies one of the most active volcanic systems on Earth. Located on the big island of Hawaii, Kilauea Volcano has been erupting almost continuously for decades and is considered one of the most powerful and unpredictable volcanoes on the planet. The island itself was formed by volcanic activity, and the ground here is constantly shaped by underground magma moving beneath the surface. When pressure builds inside the volcano, molten rock can break through the Earth's crust and spill across the landscape as rivers of glowing lava. During the massive eruption of 2018, Kilauea demonstrated just how destructive these forces can be. Lava fountains shot high into the sky, while thick flows of molten rock slowly advanced across neighborhoods, destroying nearly 1,000 buildings and covering more than 35 square kilometers of land. Roads disappeared beneath hardened lava fields. Entire communities were evacuated, and toxic volcanic gases filled the air, creating hazardous conditions for residents and emergency crews. Even when the volcano appears calm, hidden cracks in the ground can suddenly open and release heat and gas from deep within the earth. Despite these dangers, thousands of visitors come each year to witness the raw power of Kilauea, drawn by the rare opportunity to see the geological forces that continue to build and reshape the Hawaiian Islands. Few environments on Earth push the limits of human survival quite like this one. Hidden deep within Morntroy Pitons National Park on the Caribbean island of Dominica lies a place known as the Boiling Lake, the second largest hot spring lake in the world and one of the most extreme geothermal environments on the planet. Reaching this remote location already requires a challenging journey through dense tropical forests, steep mountain trails, and clouds of volcanic steam that rise from cracks in the ground. But the real spectacle appears when the forest suddenly opens to reveal a large pool of gray, churning water that seems to be constantly on the verge of eruption. The lake measures nearly 60 meters across and is heated by underground volcanic activity that forces superheated water and gases up through fractures in the Earth's crust. As a result, the surface of the lake is almost always boiling, with temperatures that can reach close to 100 degrees Celsius near the edges, and potentially even higher in the deeper central zones. Thick clouds of steam drift above the water, while bubbles rise continuously from the depths, creating the eerie impression of a giant cauldron hidden in the mountains. Scientists believe the lake sits directly above a magma-heated geothermal system, meaning sudden pressure changes underground could dramatically alter its activity. Although guided expeditions occasionally visit the area, the intense heat, unstable ground, and toxic gases make it a place where caution is absolutely essential. Boiling Lake stands as a striking reminder of the powerful volcanic forces that continue shaping the Caribbean islands. At first glance, this volcanic crater in Indonesia appears almost surreal, glowing with an otherworldly beauty that attracts photographers and adventurers from around the world. Located on the island of Java, Kawah Ijen is part of a large volcanic complex known for one of the most unusual natural phenomena on Earth: bright blue flames that illuminate the crater during the night. While this spectacle looks almost magical, it is actually the result of extremely dangerous volcanic gases escaping from deep underground. When sulfur-rich gases emerge through cracks in the rock at temperatures exceeding 600 degrees Celsius, they ignite upon contact with oxygen, creating the famous blue fire that can rise several meters into the air. At the center of the crater lies a vast turquoise lake that may appear calm and beautiful, but it is in fact one of the most acidic lakes on the planet. The water contains a highly concentrated mixture of sulfuric and hydrochloric acids, with a pH close to 0, making it capable of corroding metal and causing severe burns to human skin. Thick clouds of toxic sulfur dioxide gas frequently drift across the crater floor, forcing workers and visitors to wear protective masks while moving through the area. Despite these hazardous conditions, local miners descend into the crater every day to extract solid sulfur deposits, carrying heavy loads up steep slopes in one of the most physically demanding jobs in the world. Kawah Ijen, therefore, represents a place where natural beauty, extreme chemistry, and human resilience all meet in a remarkably dangerous environment. Few environments on Earth appear as alien and extreme as the Danakil Depression in northeastern Ethiopia. Located near the borders of Eritrea and Djibouti, this vast geological basin lies more than 100 meters below sea level and is widely considered one of the hottest and most inhospitable places on the planet. At first sight, the landscape looks almost otherworldly, covered with fields of bright yellow sulfur, green acid pools, and shimmering salt flats that stretch across the desert. These striking colors are created by intense geothermal activity beneath the surface, where magma rises close to the crust and heats underground water mixed with minerals and volcanic gases. In areas such as the Dalol hydrothermal field, superheated water interacts with sulfur and iron deposits, forming bubbling pools of acidic liquid that can reach temperatures close to boiling. At the same time, air temperatures in the Danakil Depression frequently exceed 45 degrees Celsius, while the region receives almost no rainfall throughout the year. This combination of extreme heat, toxic gases, and unstable ground creates conditions that are extremely challenging for human survival. Yet despite these dangers, the region has been home to the Afar people for centuries, many of whom still travel across the harsh desert to harvest blocks of salt from ancient deposits formed when the area was once part of a prehistoric sea. The Danakil Depression therefore stands as one of the most extraordinary examples of how life can persist even in one of the most extreme environments on Earth. Hidden deep within the remote mountains of northeastern India lies a region where nature remains almost completely untouched and incredibly challenging to navigate. Dibang Valley, located in the state of Arunachal Pradesh near the border with China, is one of the most isolated and rugged landscapes in the entire Himalayan region. Towering peaks, dense forests, and steep cliffs dominate the terrain, while powerful rivers carve deep gorges through the mountains. At first glance, the valley appears breathtakingly beautiful, with vast green slopes and mist-covered ridges stretching across the horizon. Yet beneath this natural beauty lies an environment shaped by extreme geography and unpredictable weather. The region sits within an active seismic zone, meaning earthquakes are a constant possibility, while intense monsoon rains frequently trigger landslides that can suddenly collapse entire sections of mountain roads. Many routes through the valley consist of narrow, winding paths carved directly into steep rock faces, leaving very little margin for error for those traveling through the area. In some places, the roads are so remote that help can take hours or even days to arrive in the event of an accident. Thick forests also shelter a wide range of wildlife, adding another layer of unpredictability to journeys through the region. Despite these challenges, Dibang Valley remains home to several indigenous communities who have lived in harmony with the mountains for generations, adapting their lives to one of the most remote and formidable landscapes in South Asia. Stories and legends surround this isolated island in the Venetian lagoon, giving it a reputation as one of the most mysterious places in Italy. Located between Venice and the Lido Barrier Islands, Poveglia has a long and complex history that stretches back many centuries. At first glance, the island appears quiet and picturesque, with old brick buildings, tall trees, and a historic bell tower rising above the lagoon waters. Yet behind this peaceful scenery lies a past connected to some of the darkest chapters of European history. During several outbreaks of plague that struck Venice between the 14th and 17th centuries, Poveglia was reportedly used as a quarantine station where infected people and suspected carriers were sent in order to prevent the disease from spreading to the crowded city. Later, in the early 20th century, a psychiatric hospital operated on the island for several decades before eventually closing and leaving the buildings abandoned. Over time, these layers of history, combined with the island's isolation, helped create a reputation filled with eerie stories and ghostly legends. Today, the island remains largely deserted, with crumbling structures slowly being overtaken by vegetation and weathered by the lagoon's humid climate. Although the dramatic tales associated with Poveglia are often exaggerated, the island still captures the imagination of visitors who see it from passing boats. It stands as a haunting reminder of how historical events can transform an otherwise peaceful landscape into a place surrounded by mystery and legend. What if a single mountain road could determine whether entire regions remain connected to the outside world or become completely isolated? High in the western Himalayas of northern India lies Zoji La Pass, one of the most dangerous and strategically important mountain routes in the region. Sitting at an altitude of more than 3,500 meters, this narrow pass links the Kashmir Valley with the remote and high-altitude deserts of Ladakh. At first glance, the route may appear like a typical mountain road, winding through dramatic landscapes of rocky cliffs and snow-covered peaks. However, the reality of traveling through Zoji La is far more challenging. The road itself is often little more than a narrow strip of dirt carved into the side of steep mountains, with sheer drops that plunge hundreds of meters into deep valleys below. During the winter months, heavy snowfall and powerful blizzards frequently bury the pass under several meters of snow, forcing authorities to close the route for long periods of time. Even in summer, melting snow and unstable slopes can trigger sudden landslides that block the road without warning. Thick fog, icy surfaces, and strong mountain winds further complicate the journey for drivers attempting to navigate the winding route. Despite these dangers, Zoji La remains a vital lifeline for the people of Ladakh, allowing supplies, food, and fuel to reach remote communities scattered across the high plateau. Every journey across this pass is therefore a reminder of how geography can shape both the risks and necessities of life in the world's highest mountains. For the people who live in Nepal's remote mountain villages, danger is not an occasional event but simply part of everyday life. Across the steep slopes of the Himalayas, countless narrow roads have been carved directly into towering cliffs in order to connect isolated communities with the outside world. These cliffside routes often follow ancient trade paths that once linked villages scattered across valleys and high mountain ridges. At first glance, the scenery is breathtaking, with dramatic views of deep gorges, rushing rivers, and distant snow-covered peaks stretching across the horizon. Yet, traveling along these roads can be an extremely risky experience. In many places, the path is barely wide enough for a single vehicle, leaving almost no space between the road and the sheer drop that falls hundreds of meters below. Protective barriers are often non-existent, and sections of the road are built on loose soil or unstable rock that can collapse without warning. During the monsoon season, heavy rains frequently trigger landslides that wash away parts of the route, forcing drivers to navigate through mud, falling rocks, and damaged road surfaces. At the same time, thick mountain fog and unpredictable weather conditions can suddenly reduce visibility to almost nothing. Despite these hazards, these narrow cliff roads remain essential for transporting food, medicine, construction materials, and other supplies to remote villages scattered across Nepal's rugged terrain. For the communities that depend on them, these precarious routes are not just roads, but lifelines connecting them to the rest of the world. What if a single road could transform an ordinary drive into one of the most dangerous journeys on Earth? In the mountains of Bolivia, the infamous Camino a los Yungas has earned a reputation as one of the most perilous roads ever built. This narrow mountain route connects the high-altitude capital of La Paz with the lush tropical region of the Yungas, descending from more than 4,600 meters above sea level down to dense rainforest valleys far below. At first glance, the road winds through spectacular scenery with towering cliffs, deep valleys, and clouds drifting across the mountains. Yet beneath this dramatic landscape lies a route that has long been associated with extreme danger. In many sections, the road is barely 3 meters wide, leaving almost no space for two vehicles to pass each other while steep cliffs drop hundreds of meters into the abyss below. Guardrails are often absent, and heavy fog, rain, and waterfalls flowing across the road's surface make driving conditions even more hazardous. For decades, buses, trucks, and cars traveled along this route while navigating sharp curves and unstable gravel edges, where a single mistake could lead to catastrophe. The road became so notorious that it gained the nickname Death Road, with numerous accidents reported throughout the years. Although a safer modern highway has since been constructed nearby, parts of the original Camino a los Yungas remain open and have even become a destination for adventurous cyclists seeking the thrill of descending one of the most dramatic mountain roads in the world. Stories and rumors surround this mysterious settlement in the desert, but the reality of this abandoned village is just as intriguing as the legends themselves. Located near the border between the Emirates of Sharjah and Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, Al Madam Ghost Village is a small cluster of houses and a mosque that were built several decades ago as part of a government housing project. At first glance, the village appears like a normal residential neighborhood, with rows of simple homes arranged along sandy streets. However, every building now stands completely empty, slowly being reclaimed by the surrounding desert. Wind-blown sand drifts through broken doors and windows, gradually filling rooms that were once meant to be lived in. Over time, the desert has begun to swallow entire sections of the settlement, creating an eerie landscape where the boundary between architecture and nature continues to disappear. Several explanations have been proposed for why the residents eventually abandoned the village. Some believe the harsh desert environment and the constant movement of sand dunes made daily life difficult, while others mention local folklore about unexplained events that supposedly frightened inhabitants away. In reality, environmental factors such as shifting sands and the challenges of maintaining infrastructure in such a remote desert location likely played a major role in the relocation of residents. Today, Al Madam has become a curious destination for explorers and photographers, offering a haunting reminder of how quickly the desert can reclaim human structures when nature is left to take its course. Few human settlements on Earth exist in conditions as extreme as the high-altitude town of La Rinconada in southern Peru. Located in the Andes Mountains at an elevation of more than 5,100 meters above sea level, this remote mining town is widely considered the highest permanent settlement on the planet. From a distance, the town appears as a chaotic cluster of buildings scattered across the slopes beneath a massive glacier, surrounded by the harsh and frozen landscape of the Altiplano. The thin atmosphere at this altitude contains roughly half the oxygen available at sea level, making even simple physical activity exhausting for those who are not accustomed to the conditions. Temperatures often drop well below freezing, and the environment offers very little vegetation or natural protection from the elements. Despite these extreme circumstances, tens of thousands of people have traveled to La Rinconada in search of opportunity linked to the nearby gold mines. Mining here follows an unusual system in which workers may labor for weeks without pay in exchange for the chance to keep any gold they find on the final day of their shift. This arrangement attracts thousands of hopeful miners willing to endure the physical demands of the high mountains. However, the rapid growth of the town has also created serious environmental and social challenges, including limited infrastructure, pollution from mining activities, and difficult living conditions. La Rinconada therefore stands as a striking example of how the pursuit of natural resources can drive human communities to survive in some of the most extreme environments on Earth. For the people who live here, danger is not an occasional event, but a daily reality shaped by complex social and economic challenges. In the hills surrounding Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, vast neighborhoods known as favelas have grown over decades as informal communities built outside the traditional urban planning of the city. From a distance, these neighborhoods appear as dense clusters of colorful houses stacked along steep hillsides, creating a striking and almost chaotic skyline above the modern districts of Rio. Yet behind this vibrant appearance lies a complicated environment where poverty, overcrowding, and limited public services have created difficult living conditions for many residents. In some favelas, criminal organizations have historically gained strong influence, leading to periods of conflict between rival groups and law enforcement authorities. Narrow alleys, improvised electrical lines, and densely packed buildings make the neighborhoods difficult to navigate and challenging for emergency services to access quickly. At the same time, heavy rains can trigger landslides in certain hillside areas where houses are built on unstable ground, adding another layer of risk to daily life. Despite these challenges, millions of people call the favelas home, and these communities are also known for their resilience, vibrant culture, music, and strong local identities. Many residents work, study, and build their lives while facing the realities of urban inequality. The favelas of Rio de Janeiro, therefore, represent a complex and powerful reminder that some of the most dangerous environments on Earth are not created by nature alone, but also by social and economic conditions within modern cities. Few places demonstrate the scale of modern urban waste as dramatically as the massive landfill of Bantar Gebang on the outskirts of Jakarta, Indonesia. Located near one of the most densely populated metropolitan regions in the world, this enormous disposal site receives thousands of tons of garbage every single day from the Indonesian capital. From a distance, the landscape appears almost like a range of artificial hills, but these towering mounds are actually layers of accumulated waste that have grown steadily over decades. Trucks continuously arrive carrying household trash, plastic packaging, food waste, and discarded materials produced by a city of more than 10 million people. As the waste decomposes under the tropical heat, it releases methane gas and produces strong odors that spread across the surrounding area. Large flocks of birds circle above the landfill while bulldozers push fresh piles of garbage into ever-growing heaps. During heavy rainfall, contaminated water known as leachate can seep from the landfill into nearby soil and waterways, raising concerns about long-term environmental effects. At the same time, hundreds of informal waste collectors search through the mountains of trash every day, hoping to recover recyclable materials such as plastic bottles, cardboard, and metal that can be sold for small amounts of income. Their work illustrates both the economic reality and the human dimension behind global waste management challenges. Bantar Gebang, therefore, stands as a striking reminder of how the modern lifestyle of large cities creates enormous quantities of waste that must ultimately be managed somewhere on the planet. This place is a powerful example of how modern technology can create environmental challenges far beyond the cities where those devices were originally used. On the outskirts of Accra, the capital of Ghana, lies Agbogbloshie, once known as one of the largest electronic waste processing sites in the world. At first glance, the landscape appears chaotic, filled with piles of discarded computers, televisions, mobile phones, and countless other electronic components shipped from different parts of the globe. Many of these devices arrive after reaching the end of their useful life in wealthier countries, eventually becoming part of a massive flow of global electronic waste. In Agbogbloshie, workers search through these materials in order to recover valuable metals such as copper, aluminum, and other recyclable components. However, the methods used are often extremely hazardous. Plastic coverings from wires are frequently burned in open fires to expose the metal inside, releasing thick black smoke filled with toxic chemicals into the air. Soil and nearby waterways can also become contaminated by heavy metals such as lead, mercury, and cadmium that leak from damaged electronic parts. Long-term exposure to these pollutants can pose serious health risks for people working in the area, as well as for nearby communities. Despite these dangers, many individuals rely on this work as a source of income in a rapidly growing city. Agbogbloshie therefore illustrates one of the hidden consequences of global consumption, reminding us that the life cycle of modern technology often continues long after devices leave the hands of their original users. This place reveals how fragile the balance between human activity and the natural environment can truly be. In the city of Lahore, one of Pakistan's largest and most densely populated urban centers, a seasonal environmental crisis has increasingly drawn global attention in recent years. Extreme smog pollution. Located in the fertile plains of the Punjab region, Lahore is surrounded by farmland, growing industrial zones, and millions of vehicles that move through the city every day. During certain months, particularly in late autumn and early winter, a dangerous combination of factors causes thick layers of polluted air to settle over the city. Agricultural burning in nearby fields, emissions from factories and power plants, vehicle exhaust, and construction dust all contribute to the buildup of airborne particles. At the same time, cooler temperatures and stagnant atmospheric conditions trap these pollutants close to the ground, preventing them from dispersing into the upper atmosphere. As a result, the sky often turns into a dense gray haze that dramatically reduces visibility and pushes air quality levels far beyond safe limits. Residents may experience irritation in their eyes and throats, breathing difficulties, and other health problems associated with prolonged exposure to fine particulate matter. Schools have occasionally been forced to close temporarily during severe smog episodes, while authorities struggle to reduce pollution in a rapidly expanding metropolis. Lahore's smog crisis serves as a powerful reminder that environmental dangers are not always dramatic natural disasters, but can also emerge from the long-term impact of human activity on the atmosphere. This place shows how a river that once sustained entire civilizations can also become a symbol of one of the world's most serious environmental challenges. Flowing through northern India, the Yamuna River is one of the most important tributaries of the Ganges and has played a central role in the history, culture, and spiritual life of the region for thousands of years. The river passes through several major cities, including the vast metropolis of Delhi, where millions of people depend on its waters in various ways. From a distance, the Yamuna may appear calm as it winds through the city, but in some stretches the water has become heavily contaminated by pollution accumulated over decades of rapid urban growth. Industrial waste, untreated sewage, agricultural runoff, and household garbage have all contributed to deteriorating water quality in certain sections of the river. In some places, thick layers of foam can form on the surface as chemical pollutants react in the water, creating an unsettling visual reminder of the environmental pressure placed on the river system. Scientists and environmental organizations have repeatedly warned about the ecological consequences of this pollution, including the loss of aquatic life and potential health risks for nearby communities. At the same time, efforts are ongoing to improve water treatment infrastructure and restore sections of the river to a healthier condition. The Yamuna River, therefore, represents both a critical natural resource and a powerful example of how human development can profoundly affect the delicate balance of river ecosystems. In just a matter of minutes, a quiet mountainside can transform into a powerful and unstoppable force of destruction. On the Indonesian island of Sumatra, Mount Merapi is one of many active volcanoes that dominate the dramatic landscapes of the region. Like many volcanoes across the Pacific Ring of Fire, Merapi constantly accumulates layers of ash, loose rock, and volcanic debris along its steep slopes. Under normal conditions, this material remains relatively stable, but when heavy tropical rains arrive during the monsoon season, the entire mountainside can suddenly come to life. The water mixes with ash, stones, and volcanic sediment, creating a fast-moving slurry known as a lahar, often described as cold lava. Unlike glowing lava flows that move slowly across the ground, lahars behave more like rivers of liquid concrete, capable of racing down valleys at speeds that can exceed 100 kilometers per hour. In 2024, intense rainfall triggered massive lahars on the slopes of Mount Merapi, sending torrents of mud, rocks, and volcanic debris rushing through nearby communities. Entire villages were overwhelmed as the powerful currents destroyed houses, damaged roads and bridges, and buried farmland under thick layers of volcanic material. Because lahars follow river channels and valleys, they can travel great distances from the volcano itself, making them extremely difficult to predict and almost impossible to escape once they begin moving. For communities living near volcanic mountains, these silent floods of ash and mud represent one of the most dangerous and underestimated natural hazards on Earth. Our journey across these extraordinary places reminds us that our planet is full of incredible contrasts. Some locations amaze us with their breathtaking beauty, while others reveal just how powerful and unpredictable nature can be. From violent oceans and active volcanoes to extreme cities and mysterious islands, each of these places tells a story about the delicate balance between humans and the environment. Exploring the world allows us to understand how diverse and complex our planet truly is, but it also reminds us that nature always deserves respect. If you enjoyed discovering these fascinating destinations, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who loves travel and exploration. Thank you for joining this journey, and we'll see you in the next adventure.